They could see it clear as day. The narrow entrance to the cave, dark and ominous, in the recesses of the island's coast. Dread pricked at their skin as they neared the area, sending edgy glances at each other in the process. "I'm really not looking forward to this," Jay muttered to himself, and Carlos mindlessly nodded. "I wish Dude was here." Evie, eyes gingerly surveying the opening, wore a twisted frown. "Maybe it's best if he wasn't." "We have no choice but to go in. Stay on the lookout. Nerissa is already powerful as it is, so who knows what else she could do with the hat in hand." Giving each other confidence boosts via mental pats on the back, they all entered, stances ready for a fight, an inevitability that would have to happen in order to defend Aradon and the Isle from the evil clutches of wickedness. Reaching the innermost part of the cave, the villain kids came across "So this is her evil lair, huh?" Carlos looked around, a mixture of awe and befuddlement. Jay inspected their surroundings, sifting through the spell notes spilled on top of the cherrywood table. Mal peeked inside the cauldron. A purple liquid swirled inside it, appearing cold to the touch. "I can't believe all this time this was here. It's kind of stylish." On the other side of the cave, Evie's voice boomed around them, and she winced at her loudness. Sorry. She seemed to have been plotting for ages. Plans to... I don't even know how to read this. "Mal, can you come here?" The purple-haired girl approached Jafar's son, peering over his shoulders. "I think she's planning on completely destroying Aradon, in hopes of rebuilding it under her rule." She sifted anxiously through the papers. Wait, no. Not just Aradon, but the land of no happily ever afters? Where even is that? Without warning, Carlos pointed at the blue, glimmering hat settled on a pedestal. "Hey, isn't that... Guys, the sorcerer's hat!" Everyone's head instantly snapped in Carlos's direction. Following the path of his finger, they all ran towards the hat in surprise. "This was easier than I thought it was going to be," Jay exclaimed. He reached out to grab it until Mal clutched onto his arm to stop him. "Wait, it's probably just a trap? Smart girl." The hat disappeared in a cloud of green smoke, and when they turned around, there stood Nerissa, the hat in her hand and a nasty sneer on her face. "I needed you lousy children out of my way. Can't have you disrupting my plans. Toodles." Placing the hat on her head, Queen Nerissa raised both hands into the air. "Aperium rerum visis faciuntos parare." The villain kids ran forward in an attempt to stop her. A blinding blue light emitted from her hands before it encompassed the entire cave. Mel struggled to keep her eyes, and as her eyes tried to adjust, she saw the slimmest aperture. A passageway, just like a portal to an alien world, growing in the space in front of them. She felt her hand grab onto Nerissa's arm just in time, and suddenly, everything turned black. "I know I agreed we would come, but this is way out of our pay grade." "Zed, we are not getting paid for this." "I know. That's what makes this even worse." Zed and Addison had found the location. The yellow police tape that read, "Caution, do not enter," had been a great help, actually. In front of them was a humongous crater. Trees, soil, and earth had seemingly been blown away by the impact. The impact of what, specifically? Addison and Zed shared looks of disbelief. A fractured meteorite, one surrounded by an enchanting blue glow. Addison took tentative steps towards it. She could almost feel it pulling her towards it, beckoning her to get closer. With every move she made, there was a rush of something powerful inside her, like it was awakening. So magnetized by this strange feeling, she hadn't even noticed that her white hair, her most abnormal feature, one she had hidden for years, had started to glow until Zed called her name. "Addie. Addie!" Baffled and in awe, he trained his eyes on her hair. "It's glowing." Addison lifted a piece of it, examining it, before steering her gaze to the meteorite. It seemed like it had shattered, missing a chunk of its core. She reached her hand out, hovering over it for a few seconds before settling it delicately on its surface. She gasped. Addison felt like a box had been opened, and whatever had been inside had spilled, coursing through her veins now. It was in that moment that, to their right, A bright light shone, and there, at the center of it all, appeared... What in the world? Addison quickly retracted her hand from the meteorite when right in front of her stood 4 kids. 4 extremely out-of-place teenagers, close to her age. Looking worse for wear, they all looked around oddly, gauging where they were, when their sights landed on Addison and Zed. The silence was painful before the one with black and white hair jumped up. "Who are you?" "Who are you?" Zed retaliated accusingly, moving closer to Addison. No, I asked first." "What is that?" The Seabrook-born teen interrupted. Everyone followed to where her gaze was directed. Behind the 4 foreigners was a rift. A flickering, glowing fissure no wider than a thumb. "That's what we came out of," Mal said, eyebrows furrowed, and Zed's mouth fell open. "Out of? Who are you? Where did you come from? What are you? What's even going on?" Addison placed a hand on his arm, an indication for him to calm down. "I'm Mal. These are my friends, Carlos, Evie, and Jay. We're from Auradon." The purple-haired girl eyed them warily. "What kingdom are we in?" "Kingdom? I'm sorry, I think you're a little confused. You're in Seabrook. It's just a town in..." "Wait." Addison stopped talking. She inspected all of them, their clothes and hair. It was so outlandish. Nothing like the picture-perfect likeness revered in Seabrook, though zombies and werewolves were the exceptions. She peeked at the meteorite. This couldn't possibly be a mere coincidence. "Are you guys aliens? Like from another planet?" Zed seemed to have arrived at the same conclusion. Jay made a face, and Carlos vigorously shook his head in denial. "No, we're from Auradon, homeland to all the villains and heroes and stuff." He trailed off as he watched their faces morph into utter skepticism. "You mean like fairy tales? The princes and princesses, the fairy godmother? Yeah, no way." Addison cleared her throat, shaking off the confusion. "I believe them, Zed. They're just as confused as we are, and you're not exactly a normal human either." "We don't have time for this," Mal grunted, her face scrunched up in frustration. Zed raised an eyebrow. "We need to go back," Evie tacked on, turning towards the rift. "No, we can't." The trio gave her a look. "Nerissa didn't just send us here. She came with us. I grabbed onto her when it all happened." "Then why isn't she here with us?" Jay asked. "Probably because she landed somewhere else. Her magic is woven with the hats." The purple-haired girl fixed her gaze on Addison. "Wherever we are, Nerissa is now a threat to your home too. We need to bring her back to Auradon, now." "A threat to our home? Who's this Nerissa?" Zed questioned. "She's a powerful magical being that made half of our kingdom disappear," Mal explained, with a deadpan face. His question had been answered, and yet, it only provided him with more questions. "She didn't mean to come here with us, so she needs to find a way out through this rift. We can wait her out here. Ambush her," Evie concluded. Guys?" Carlos called, but his friends ignored him. "Do you know a spell that can locate her, Mal?" The girl's best friend asked, moving to stand in front of her. Guys, hello?" Carlos called once more, but his voice was ignored. Zed looked to see what he was trying to point to, wondering why he was so concerned. "I do, but..." Mal lifted her hands, her eyes flashed green, and Addison took a step back in fear. Suddenly, her eyes returned to their regular state. "I can't use my magic. My powers, I think they're fading away." "Hello, yes, I think the rift is closing," Zed finally yelled, realizing the situation. "Yes, thank you," Carlos said, and they all whipped their heads to examine it. The fissure that had once been the width of a thumb was now much thinner. "Okay, new plan. Now we really need to find her," Jay asserted, panic marring his voice, and Mal immediately turned towards the Seabrook duo. "We need your help." And Addison didn't need to think twice before giving her answer. "We'll do it.